Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I wanted to start including mental health on my channel, so this is the very first video. Let's jump into it. I struggle with accepting compliments. I don't know why I want to say accomplishments. Even that too sometimes, okay? But compliments, like when someone give me a compliment, I do like this, like it's like my body kind of goes stiff a little bit and it's like, thanks. And then my next response is then breaking down that compliment as to like why I wasn't deserving of it. So if someone say, oh, you did a really good job on your video, Tam, it's like that first initial shock where I'm just like, oh. And then it's like, well, I could have done the audio better. I could have done this. I could have done that. And I just go into this tirade of why that compliment isn't true for me. And although it was nice, it's not for me. And I completely ripped it to shreds and discredited me, not me talking some decredited. I discredit the whole thing, right? And the reason why I do that is because I struggle with perfectionism. So perfectionism is a personality trait characterized by high expectation and standards. I have extremely high expectations of myself, which then turns into more unrealistic expectations of myself. And it's like I logically know I'm not perfect and I'm not going to be perfect, but then somehow my brain turns it around to, but you can do better. You can do more. You could change it like this. Next time, don't do this. Do it like this. And so when I get a compliment, I've already gone through this battle in my head. So the person could be verbally saying, I think you did a great job on your video. And what my voice turns it into, you could have done better. You could have done better. You could have done better. And it's not that it's anything wrong with the compliment. It's my inner voice that's telling me to do more. It's like this sense of nothing that I do is enough. And it's not that it's based on society pressures and standards or my parents or anything like that. It's literally based on my own expectations of myself. And it's like I feel like I can do better. But here's the tricky part about that. We can always do better in certain regards, and sometimes our better is our best. Let me break that down. You know how that saying goes, do the best that you can do? Well, that best changes day to day, minute by minute. My capacity, my tolerance, my agility, my ability to just kind of bounce back from life and living life on life terms. And so sometimes I have done the better and it's the best that I could do, but then I will sit back and compare a different version of myself and think, well, I could have done it this way and this way and this way, and she would have done it this way. So you didn't do it to the best of your ability. This isn't your better, you know? And you kind of think like, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with challenging yourself? What's wrong with not accepting being mediocre? What's wrong with being content? You know, well, not content. The issue with that is you're always chasing the carrot. You're always you're always moving the finish line. So if I say, you know what, I'm really going to celebrate myself when I complete my degree. Then I complete my degree and I tell myself like, man, I really could have done better. I feel like I didn't give, the work my all. You know what? I don't feel like I deserve to celebrate myself right now. I'm going to celebrate myself when I get into my career and I do XYZ. Then I get into my career and I do XYZ. Then I push the goal back. Well, I'm going to celebrate myself when I do this. It's like you're never satisfied with yourself. You're never satisfied with your accomplishments, with the things that you do. And you put all this pressure on yourself. It's like sometimes you can do something, you can say something, and then you'll go back and be like, why did I say it like this? I should have said it like this. I should have did this. And then you'll end up apologizing to someone like, hey, I'm sorry if I offended you. And the person's just like, what are you talking about? Like, I was not offended. And it's because you've worked it all up in here based on this standard that nobody else lives by. No, nobody lives by this, okay? So I just wanted to come and kick off the mental health series and talk about why it's hard for me to accept compliments. It's a little lent. But that may vary, right? You may not be able to accept a compliment due to trauma, due to anxiety, due to depression, due to a number of reasons. You have to figure out what's behind your resistance to the compliment, right? And so I worked on many things in therapy, and now I'm to this part of perfectionism, and it's been kicking my butt. Because let me tell you, soon as you think, okay, I got it under control, you find another area where it shows up, and it's just like, who invited you to this goddamn party? Who invited you to this party? Ugh! And that's okay. That's like how it works. And that's why when you go to therapy or you begin any type of spiritual journey, mental health journey, emotional journey, they tell you it's a lifelong journey, because sometimes we tackle things and they may show up in a different way, or life may happen and it comes back up. Okay. So for me, it was, I wanted people to show up like I show up, with the same type of integrity and values and beliefs. And I put a lot of pressure on others to be like me. And we all know that is so unrealistic. And so you can imagine that when someone does something and it doesn't make sense to me, like, if that was me, I would have just told the truth. Like, what's so wrong with telling the truth? Well, telling the truth isn't easy for everyone. It's not easy, because telling the truth means you're willing to accept whatever consequences or rewards come with that. And some people struggle with that. Some people do not want to feel consequences. They don't want to feel shame, guilt. They don't want to express, the truth, because the truth can hurt, or the truth can mean now I have to challenge myself. Now I have to change. And some people aren't open to that. And so for me to have that belief that, well, I'm honest, so they should be honest. Let me tell you something. Rule of thumb. If a thought start with they should, red flag, flag on the play, flag on the play, okay? Should, there's no shoulds in living life, right? There's nothing. I remember this saying, only thing I need to do is stay black and die. That's something. I don't know why the black community come up with all these different sayings. But I love it, okay? There is no shoulds. Shoulda, coulda, shoulda, coulda. There's no shoulds. So if you hear yourself saying that, you should also hear yourself saying, in the other ear, this is unrealistic. This is unrealistic, because it is. It's unrealistic, right? Another thing I used to do was, if I did something, I would go back and I would critique it. Now you want to think, what's wrong with critiquing your own work? Ain't nothing wrong with critiquing your own work, but the way that I did it was very, very negative. It wasn't like in a positive regard of, you know what, I saw this, I did really good. It's a balance in critiquing yourself, right? Hey, I did this. This was my strengths. This is what my weakness is. Da 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 da. This is what I move forward with. What I was doing was, girl, now you know you could do better. Now you know you should have da da da. I could, I should, I do da 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 da. And next time I need to. And next time I need to do it like this, because this is better. The moment I say next time, like even right now with me saying next time, I feel the tension in my shoulders. I can feel my shoulders start to rise. Like, oh gosh, right? If you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself, the next thing to come is stress. And they call stress a silent killer, because it don't always give you those very tangible signs, right? Stress will come through. It will put a lot of work on your organs. It will come through. It will jack up your blood pressure. It will come through and it will activate that adrenaline. It will come through and destroy. And it does it sometimes in such a slow way that it's just like, oh, I'm going to shake it. I'm going to shake it. And then people are having heart attacks at very young ages, right? Stress comes through and it clears the table. And so when I think about perfectionism and putting so much pressure on myself, I know ultimately I'm killing myself. I am literally calling on the beast of stress, like, come here, come here. And I am killing myself. And for what? because I didn't write it. Like, let me tell you something. This when I knew I was going to talk about perfectionism to my therapist. So writing, and I keep a journal. It's a coping skill, right? It is supposed to reduce stress and anxiety. It's supposed to help me stuff regulate. So I like to write in cursive. It's a lost form, a lost art. I want to make sure I never lose that skill. So I'm writing in my journal, and as I'm writing in my journal, I realize I'm getting even more upset. And I'm just like, oh, why you write the T like this? Oh, you need to write it better. So now I'm scratching through my journal, rewriting letters, rewriting words. And as I continue to do this, the pressure that I'm using in my journal gets harder and harder, and I punch a hole through the paper because I didn't write that perfectly. I didn't write that correct. Then I go to my phone to look up how to properly write a Q in cursive, and I'm like practicing writing Q's. Now I'm at the back of my journal using a piece of paper as a scratch sheet of paper to now practice writing my Q's. How, like, by the time I realized, like, girl, what are you doing? This ain't even why you came here. This is not even why you started to journal, Tammy. Like, what is happening? And I was just like, I just have to. I just have to get it right. And then I had to really sit back like, whoa, girl. And this is why you cannot accept compliments, because part of your mind tells you you didn't actually get it right. So that compliment isn't necessarily true. It's not true. It's genuine. I truly believe that person is being genuine towards me, but it's not true and I don't deserve it. And then you start getting in some real deep waters, and I don't know if you're a swimmer, but you're going to get tired. Okay. You're going to get tired. So I then had to take a step back, and I started asking myself some really tough questions. And I want you to ask yourself some really tough questions if you struggle to accept compliments, or if you struggle with perfectionism. So let's use the journal for example. I said I just need to get it right. And then I questioned myself, well, what is right? Right was it need to aesthetically look this way. Okay, if it looked this way, does it change the meaning of the words that I'm using? Does it change what I'm trying to accomplish? Well, no, but if it's not right, then what? What happens if I don't write this cue perfectly? Well, then I will feel anxious. I'll feel like I messed up. What's wrong with the mistake? Am I above making mistakes? No, I'm not above making mistakes. I'm human. We all gonna make mistakes, right? So what about this mistake stands out to me? Well, I feel like I have the control to make it look a certain way. So why aren't I getting this right? Okay, so now we have control that came into the picture. Do I need control right now? Well, yeah, because I came to my journal because I was feeling anxious, and then I realized like I got it mixed up, right? The anxiety that I came with then morphed into something completely else, and then it grabbed onto my perfectionism, and it created this whole cyclone of things, and now I'm punching holes in my journal, ripping out pages, and it just wasn't necessary. But at that time I didn't see it as such, and I wasn't sitting back asking myself like, what is happening right now? And a lot of times we have to sit back and ask what's happening. So recently someone gave me a compliment, and I felt my body kind of tense, and I said, oof, what's happening? And then I went into my mantra of, well, I could have edited better. I could have, oh, my voice sounds a little off, or this and that. Take a step back. What is happening? The compliment made me feel uncomfortable. My body reacted to the compliment. Okay, what about the compliment made me feel uncomfortable? Well, I feel like I wasn't deserving of that compliment. Okay, what makes me undeserving of this compliment? Because I don't feel like the video was, and then sometimes you'll catch yourself, I don't feel like the video was perfect. I feel like I did good, I did okay, but it wasn't perfect. Then you got to challenge that, right? What is perfect? How can you make a perfect video that everybody's gonna like? It's not realistic. It's not true. It's not possible. I've seen some really great videos on YouTube, but is it perfect? No. Is it very well edited? Absolutely. You bet your bottom dollar it is, okay? But perfectionism, perfect doesn't exist. And your brain may even change that word to, because some people, if you're watching, it's just like, well, I don't want to make everything's perfect. It may change it to right. It needs to be right. I need to do it right. It needs to be right. So even be careful if you hear that message, because all that means is it needs to be perfect. And then you got to define it to what standard am I holding this regards to? Oh, it's my own standard. So if I made the standard, guess who can change it? Pew, 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 pew. Right? I can change it. And so it's giving yourself that grace that, okay, yeah, the cue ain't perfect, but I ain't here for this goddamn cue. I'm here because I need to talk about how I was feeling a little anxious, okay? So I've learned to start changing my inner voice to one that's more humorous, graceful, and it gives me some flexibility. So I'm not putting too much on myself. And even at times when that beast try to sneak up on me, I'd be like, oh, hold on, wait a minute. I I thought you said something, perfectionism. What was it? And I bring it to the picture, right? If a perfectionist thought comes up, I do not ignore it, because if I do, it's just going to sit in my subconscious mind and it's going to show itself again. It's just going to wait for the perfect trigger, the perfect conditions to then show itself. So I don't even do that. If a thought come up like, dang, I really should have done it this way, I'd be like, Tammy, you said should, which means something is already off. Let's figure out what's going on. Well, I just feel like I could have, and it could be the smallest. It's the smallest things for me, y'all. Like seriously, I have hedges, bushes, and I can cut the bushes, and a thought would pop up like, oh, you should be able to do a design. Why should I be able to do a design? I don't even cut grass professionally. Heck, I barely want to cut my grass. So what makes you think now I'm about to start cutting figurines into bushes? It doesn't make sense, but it's that high expectation that is super unrealistic. And I do that with everything. And so I end up getting a lot of compliments like, oh, Tammy, you can do your own nails, you can do your own hair, you can do your own lashes, you can do your own brows, you can do all these different things. And sometimes it's really pure. Like, the cost of living has gone up. Every time I step outside, I feel like I spend $50 to $200. I don't know why. I don't know why. So I learned to do things for myself, but at a certain point, perfectionism tries to take over. Then it's just like, oh, you should be able to do this nail art design. Why? Why? Well, you should be able to tint your lashes. Why? Why now? I'm an esthetician. I'm this. I'm that. What am I? Right? So I really have to take a step back sometimes, and that's for anything, you know. If your body is reacting, it's reacting to something, and it's figuring out what that something is. I'm able to identify it because I have done quite a bit of work on myself emotionally and mentally. So I'm able to identify like, oh, that's this. And that's good that you're able to identify it. That means your self-awareness has gone up. Next thing, you have to take action. Like, you have to kind of, well, you don't have to. Let me take that back, because some of y'all know y'all got some issues and y'all choose not to deal with it. But you know, I ain't judging. But if you want to increase your self-awareness, be able to break down what's happening, and then take action, right? So I was able to hear that message of, I wasn't deserving of this compliment because it wasn't right. Right equal to perfection, right? Or someone is doing something and it's deeply bothering me, like someone's not being honest and it's bothering me. What is bothering me about this thing? Oh, it's because this person is acting this way. Okay, what's so bad about that person acting this way? Well, I feel like they shouldn't act like that, because I wouldn't act like that. And now we know we going into these unrealistic expectations. And then sometimes with our perfectionism, we try to push it on other people, like they should live up to this high regards. And we all know it's ghetto out here. It's real ghetto. Ghetto. It's the ghetto. Okay. So it's just not real. So for anybody out there who's struggling to accept compliments, I don't know why I keep trying to say compliment. Even self, a compliment. Compliments and accomplishments. That's a tongue twister, okay? Sit back, figure out when it's showing up. Ask yourself some really good questions. Figure out where you need to take action, whether it's changing that inner voice, whether it's actually taking physical actions, right? So sometimes I had to learn that even if I didn't know how to do the thing, I can still try it. And even if I'm not successful, I didn't fail. And that's something else I had to do, redefining failure. And that's for a whole nother video. But thank you for joining me for my first mental health chat. I promise you guys, I am working on accepting compliments. And so now when someone say like, oh Tam, I really like your makeup, I just be like, thank you. Period. Thank you. I don't go into, oh, I didn't put no lashes on. I didn't do, no, 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 no. That's the first action you can take. Thank you. Period. I appreciate that. Period. You are so kind. That's a little backhanded. Watch that. Watch. Oh, you are so kind. Watch it. Watch it. Okay. Thank you. Period. I appreciate you. Period. The other dots that's going through, like, well, I coulda, shoulda. Those are things for you to work on. Grab your journal, write them down, challenge them, figure out where you need to take action, and you go from there. Because guess what? In 2024, if you think I'm cute, if you think my makeup look good, if you think my hair look good, I'm gonna be like, thank you, appreciate you. Because who ain't cute? All right, I'm done. I'm done cutting up. All right. Bye. Thank you for joining me on this mental health chat. Don't worry, we have some more chats to go because we need to talk about some anxiety, grief, failure. We have a whole lot of things to talk about. So make sure you join the channel, subscribe so you don't miss a beat.